everyone. My name is Kate. I'm the Senior Business Intelligence Manager at SpotHero. And this is Megan, our Consumer Product Manager. And each of us has been at SpotHero for over 4 years, so we've had the opportunity to see a ton of growth and also the opportunity to see some of the challenges that come with that growth, such as inconsistency in data across departments, and more specifically between our departments, product and analytics. So today we're going to talk about how tools Looker and Segment are helping us overcome those challenges. And we're also going to get into some specific examples of how we're using them together. But first off, Megan is going to give an introduction of what SpotHero is.
Thanks, Kate. So to kick things off, has anyone here used or heard of SpotHero before? Awesome, cool. So Kate and I always love to meet people who've used SpotHero before and would love to connect after the presentation, whether it be about parking or data or none of the above. Please feel free to come up to us if you haven't tried SpotHero. We have some promo codes we'd love to give out, but we're really excited to be here and meet everybody. So to start things off, a bit of background about SpotHero. SpotHero, who are we? What are we? From the slide above, you guys can see that we are all very humble and don't take ourselves too seriously. No, but in all honesty, as Kate said in her introduction, we've both been at SpotHero for over 4 years now. And SpotHero is, of course, a parking platform that allows users to reserve and prepay for their parking on our website now. Our mission at SpotHero is to take the guesswork out of parking so that users can focus on what matters most, enjoying their time with family and friends, and worrying less about finding a parking spot when they arrive at their end location. We believe that by designing better ways for users to find, reserve, and pay for their parking, we not only make life a little easier for our users, we also make our cities more accessible and our communities feel more connected. So now that we've covered a little bit about the basics, let's talk about how SpotHero has changed since launching in 2011. When I first started at SpotHero, our main focus was really on our core parking reservation service. And we spent a lot of time and energy optimizing that funnel. But as our business continued to grow and change, we realized that our product offerings also needed to evolve. So in addition to our reservation service, in 2016, we released our Developer API Kit and SDK, which now allows our partners to list and sell parking directly on their website. Along with that, we acquired a company, Parking Panda, and that has opened the doors for designing new parking-related SaaS products, which is also really exciting. So this growth as a whole, very exciting. But one thing we realized is that alignment across teams has become even more difficult to maintain as our company evolves and as our product offerings grow and scale. So before we dig into how we've begun to address some of these challenges, Kate's going to go into a little bit about what the landscape, the analytics landscape was like at SpotHero prior to integrating with Looker and Segment.
Yeah, so lots of growth, added complexity to the business means that we've grown our departments along with this, and specifically going to go into the growth of the product and analytics team. So as it sits today, we have 8 analysts who specialize in different domains of the company, such as supply, finance, marketing, and then we also have 4 different sub-teams on the product team with 6 product analysts that are also broken out by subdomains, such as consumer or operator, for example. So in an analyst's world, in an perfect world, every single data point would be in Looker. Everyone would be looking in data in Looker. And the reason why that is we've had Looker since 2015. So we have really high adoption. Our exec team is in there every single day. And basically, whatever goes into Looker gets seen, and ultimately, things get done. But in the need of being able to move fast and get all the granular data that people needed, our product team does use other tools, such as Mixpanel and Optimizely. And while this has allowed us to move fast, it has added some challenges. So challenges are twofold. First off, we have some different data that's only being captured in Mixpanel or Optimizely that the analysts in Looker would love to marry up to the data we already have in there. And we also have the problems vice versa. And then the second challenge, which is kind of just the worst, is when you have 2 definitions that should be the same, and they're named the same, but they have different outputs. So come 2018, did not have time for this anymore, so we decided to implement a new tracking system. So we were already seeing that our event tracking was becoming a little bit stale because we were changing the product so fast and changing our user flows. And we had an option. We either change that tracking individually for every single destination we're sending data to, or we implement a solution where we only need to track that once, and then if a change needs to happen, we can do it once and send it over to all of the different destinations. So Segment made sense for this. And an added benefit of Segment was their sophisticated user tracking. So as part of our user journey changes, I also do a lot of marketing analyst work. So this is an extra challenge as we move to a more anonymous user flow. So helps conversion, but also creates a little hiccups in understanding the user flow. So Segment does a really good job of connecting anonymous data across device and giving us access to more known users. So going to this right now, this is what our current Segment setup looks like. We have several data going from different sources, different destinations. I wanted to zero in on my favorite, and apologize about that. This is my favorite line. This is a line that shows that all of our sources are being tracked. We own the data. We're sending into Redshift. And ultimately, once it's in Redshift, we can expose it as visualizations in Looker and combine it with all of our other existing data. So with that, there's a ton we can do. Megan's going to go into our top 2 goals for 2018.
So having Segment in our arsenal of tools allows us to make the most of our data. And while there are endless things that we can now do with our data, we had 2 main goals that we decided to focus on for 2018. The first goal was to improve conversion rate tracking. And what this really means is to create a custom solution that really met the KPIs and business metrics that aligned with our needs, and instead of relying on solely a black box tool, which kind of like just uses whatever you have at the moment. The second goal was to improve our understanding of users' pre- and post-purchase behavior. This has become increasingly difficult, like Kate mentioned, is going to an anonymous user flow, and as more of our customers start to exhibit more cross-device behavior. We'll share more details and background on how we've attempted to address some of these challenges throughout the rest of this presentation.
Cool. So single source of truth for conversion rate. This is a project I'm in the midst of right now, and it originated from this scenario. Like if our CEO was to ask someone in the organization what our conversion rate was for, say, a market like Philadelphia, he might get a different answer depending on who he asked. If he asked the marketing team, he might get an answer in terms of a very specific web landing page SEO conversion. And the product team might maybe a specific iOS user flow. So we found the need to know what is that true conversion rate number, not the multiple different numbers that we have to figure out one number that magically encompasses them all. And we had some options. There's some out-of-the-box tools out there, but with our anonymous user flow, with the cross-device behavior, we really felt like it was worth the time to create our own conversion rate, our own definition of what a session is and how that is customized for our unique business. So what that meant was taking the raw data we're getting out from Segment, doing a little bit of ETL work to define the conversion rate on our end, and ultimately pushing it back into Looker, into visualizations, where the whole company can see and take action upon. And now Megan's going to go into an example of when this project would have been very helpful.
Yes, I have a great example. So earlier I mentioned that one of the challenges we were facing as a growing business was that we were struggling to find alignment, especially in regards to our performance metrics. And to really drive this home, of course, anecdotal story. For context, 2018, one of our main focuses has been to really build out our different segments. So we have daily parking, monthly parking, airport parking, and I was kind of tasked with taking on the airport parking project and building that out for our users. So as part of the airport project, we had these airport task force meetings where we essentially met with stakeholders, reviewed our progress, talked about action items, and aligned on the next steps. I would like to state, for the record, I thought this was a very productive and helpful meeting, and I thought it went really well. And it was only afterwards when our executive stakeholder came up to me and told me that it was the worst meeting he's ever been in his history at SpotHero, did I feel differently, and I knew we had an alignment issue. So, true story. So what happened in the meeting that made it so terrible? So it's similar to what was discussed earlier in this morning's keynote. It became clear that departments were looking at data from different tools to highlight how their teams were moving the needle on their KPIs, which is fine, But as a result, we were noticing that there were inconsistencies not just in the data, but also in the lack of clarity around how we were defining the data, like Kate had talked about. And this in turn led to finger pointing, which is not productive, and essentially a standstill of our entire meeting. So on this, the meeting, which I will now call actually a data brawl, because I've learned that that's a term and it happens and it's like a normal thing. So during our data brawl this morning, or during the airport task force, a fun takeaway from this morning's keynote was actually really beneficial. The meeting itself was really beneficial, excuse me. It brought to light this future blocker, which would have really prevented us from moving forward with launching our airport product. And we were able to do it early enough that it didn't move any of our timelines or screw anything up with us trying to launch this new product. So overall, using segment data along with Looker to create data consistency and a single source of truth not only helps us align our goals as a business, but it will also ensure that the data is accessible by all, because now that it's being pumped into Looker, which everyone has access to, we can know that it's consistent and it's actually being used. Again, so while this meeting was one of the worst in SpotHero history, I think that the ultimate goal of identifying the issue and addressing these analytic inconsistencies head on with tools like Looker and Segment has really helped set us up for future success, particularly in regards to the conversion rate tracking that we were talking about earlier and creating more custom solutions to meet our users' changing needs. And with that, I will go on to our second goal, which was to, So there was quite a lot of issues with our ability to track users' cross-device behavior. And what this means is, again, going back to the challenges we mentioned earlier, being able to check out as a guest any pre-purchase behavior, or what we'll call like non-purchase behavior, was getting lost. So a user could search on our app anonymously 15, 16 different times, and if they didn't make a purchase, we never knew who they were. We never could tie that back to a single user. Again, the challenge there is if you have multiple millions of users, how do you know how many times a user is opening the app and doing different things? There was also a lot of cross-device behavior being exhibited by our users, which was something new that we were seeing. So we have a website, we have a mobile app, and we were noticing that it was really difficult to start answering questions like, how are users using our website? Why are users who have our website or using our website and have our app using the website and the app at the same time? Just all of these questions that we couldn't get answers to. And so it kind of led us to investigating some other tools that would help us link this anonymous behavior back to a single source of truth. What's great about Segment is that it allows us to do just that. So we can collect this previously anonymous user behavior, we can store it, and then once the user completes a purchase and we're able to identify them and assign them their own unique user ID, we can then tie those events that were previously anonymous right back to that user and essentially collect more data on the users, a more full picture than we ever have before. So in our final slide, our solution was to take all the data visualization that we were getting from Segment and pump it into Looker like we had talked about. And we were going to use our existing data definitions and visualizations in Looker to create one source of truth.
Cool, yeah, so it's probably no big secret that being able to connect pre-purchase behavior for a customer to the actual customer is important. It allows us to be able to personalize our messaging and marketing. It allows us to have a better understanding of our customer. And I'm going to go into an example of a specific feature we added this past summer where having the ability to connect the data from Segment to the data we were pulling in from Looker was extremely helpful. So past summer, we added the ability to purchase monthly parking in our iOS app. This is a big deal because historically, you could only purchase on the web, and the app has our most active customer base. So this look right here is showing a set of customers that using segment data, we filtered down to customers who we had observed making an active search in our iOS app for monthly parking, but hadn't purchased within 7 days. So from the segment data, we got fields such as what they actually searched for, what was the address. And then we married that up to existing definitions in Looker, such as lifetime rentals or what is the most frequent neighborhood this customer is parking at. And so with that, we got a better understanding of who was interacting with this feature and who was converting. And we had the email address So we were actually able to act upon that with personalized messaging. So tons more we can do with connecting all of this data. I am excited to talk to people who have experienced other things and have used these tools together. Also happy to answer any questions anyone else might have. You can reach us by our emails or just find us.